Hello, my name is Tanxin, and you can call me Tina if you like. Today I'm interviewing you on the topic of school violence. Can you introduce yourself?
All right, sure. Wait a minute. My alarm's ring for a second. All right. So you asked me about my self-introduction. So my name is Jacqueline, or you can call me Nicole, and I'm currently a clinical psychologist trainee. I'm practicing at Mentum Psychological Services, and I'm particularly trained in like different psychological assessment as well as providing therapy. And as for my current clinical work, I'm mainly focused with like adult client or even refugees client, specifically like those who have experienced like trauma symptoms, PTSD symptoms, as well as anxiety or even like a social withdrawal due to like the past trauma. So it's like mainly focused on trauma regulation as well as emotion regulation and some interpersonal issue. So since you're asking about like school bullying, right? So I do have some experiences in helping some adolescent client in coping with their trauma that they've experienced due to the school bullying.
Okay. Do you have a parent studying school violence?
Mm. All right, so for me, as I'm not like a researcher per se, like I'm a clinical psychologist trainee, but when I'm dealing with my adolescent client where like suffer from like school bullying, I do look into like research article to understand like the current trend of like how things looks like right now. So as for like the current school bullying, especially like after COVID, there's a lot of like physical bullying in the past, like for example like the beating, like the verbal harassment. But as for right now, I think the things kind of change from like a physical bullying into like a cyber bullying instead. For example, like posting other person video or like other person picture and shaming them online. I think this one is like mainly due to like how all teenagers, like even those that are like as young as, for example, probably like secondary school, even primary school, but most of them they've already have the access to the electronic devices as well as like those social media platform. I think this kind of explain like why cyberbullying is a thing right now. So I think like I believe that if you look into the research or like those guideline workbook provided by the MOE, we can observe like the increased trend in terms of like the school bullying, especially after the COVID. And what happened during the COVID is that cyberbullying is really a thing during that time. Yeah.
Okay, can you share what the correct overall trends are?
In terms of the overall trends, I think as for right now, there's like more cyberbullying as compared to like the physical bully. Because like if we are like bullying other people using like those social media platform, it seems to be easier and it's more convenient. For example, like the physical bully, it can happen only like 7 to 3, for example, when the person is inside the school settings. But as for cyberbullying, it can happen like anywhere, everywhere, as long as the person have the access to the phone. So I think as for the current trend, seems like cyberbullying is getting like more inside the topic right now lah. Like in terms of the picture and what I've experienced in my clinical work, there's a lot of cyberbullying going on right now. But if an individual experience a lot of cyberbullying online, there's a likelihood that they also experience a similar physical bullying in the school setting as well. So I think both they are like a package, like they come together.
So, what are the new features of couples violence at the university level compared to primary and secondary schools?
Mm. Wow, so actually that's a very good question. Like even when you are asking me, like when you are presenting me with the question, I also kind of think about like, yeah, what are some of the differences in terms of like the pattern, like how does secondary school as well as like a primary school differ from the university. So from what my assumption is that the direct support, I would say, because if you are at local government school, if you are like in a local primary school or even like a local secondary school, we can see that the student, they are actually able to reach out to direct support. They have like the discipline teacher, like the group discipline, where they can just reach out for help. But when it comes to university, they don't have like such help, such support available for them. So I think for university student, it's even harder for them to reach out to a proper support unless they have like a very clear whistleblowing policy or like a very clear portal for them to understand where they can report, like where they can complain about it. And besides that, especially when it comes to university, right, is where like all of those students, they would move out from their parents' house and live at the dorm. Like for example, they would like leave their house at like other state and live at the dorm instead. Like they would have like a 住宿生活, like 群体生活 right now, because they have to live inside the dorm, live inside like the 宿舍. So in this kind of situation, they, especially for adolescents at this age lah, like 18 or 19, they're actually highly rely on the feelings of belong into a group. So if they are bullied, there's a very high chances where they are reluctant to share it to other person because they still want to belong to that group. Probably they would have the concern of, what if I tell other person that I'm bullied by my friends? My friends don't want to be friends with me anymore. So there is some of the concern that they might have. But some of the primary school as well as the secondary school student, they won't have this kind of thoughts, this kind of like worry on them. As well as for university student, the access to digital platform, the access to their phone, to the internet is that much more convenient as compared to other age group. So if the cyberbullying happen in the university student, the group chats, the anonymous forum, like the university confession page, it can be quite huge. Like things can be real for them lah. So yeah, in terms of differences, I think I can only think about this lah.
Okay, so good. What are the physical causes of corpus violence for victims and perpetrators respectively?
Okay, so I think I would start with the perpetrator first, because I feel like when it comes to this topic, there will be a lot of people talking about how would the victim feel, like why would the victim being like victimized. But I don't think there's much attention on what makes a bully a bully. So from what I understand is that a lot of perpetrators, like a lot of bully in the past, they also suffer from bully as well. Like those who used to be bullied, those who used to be a victim, they have now become a perpetrators. They now is bullying other person. So first it might be due to like the need of control. Like they just want to have the control on the situation. Probably if the thought of, if I bully you first, you don't get to bully me. So I rather I be the one who harm you first before you get the chance to harm me. That's the first one, which is the need of control and power. And the second might be the group conformity, because like I see my friends is bullying you, that's why I also want to bully you as well, so that I can be accepted by my friends, especially when it comes to a group settings. And the third is that just lack of empathy, because there's some perpetrators, especially the younger children, like primary school children, they don't know that bullying can cause a lot of harm to other person. They might just think that it's fun, like pushing you, it's fun, like scolding you, it's fun. Like for them, they can't really see how much damage they cause to other person, to the victims. So now let's talk about victims, like what make victims a victims then. First, it might be the self-esteem problem, like the self-esteem problem as well as a lack of social support. For example, especially, I think the social support will play a very, very important role, and it's what that trap a person like inside the vicious cycle, because I know that you are bullying me, but you are my only friend, so I would just enabling you to continue bullying me. So first is the social support, and without a proper, effective social support, probably there will also be no one who stand up for the victims. And the second one is the trauma history, as well as the core belief of like helplessness. It would also cause the victims to trap inside the vicious circle. And the third one would be probably the difficulty in asserting like their own boundaries or differentiate what is considered a healthy friendship as well as what is considered as a toxic friendship. Yeah, I think for the victims, the boundaries would play a very important role, especially it would be very up to the parents as well as the teacher to teach them what is considered a good friendship and what is considered a bad friendship. What are some of the things that a friends can do and what are some of the things that a friends cannot do, as well as the courage to say no to the perpetrators as well.
What interventions do you think are effective?
I think as for the current situation, I can see that some international schools, they are doing a very good job. For example, they would involve like not only the student, but as well as the student, the teacher, as well as the parents when they are like psycho-educating about the anti-bullying policies, as well as they will come up with a very clear guideline in how to report, how to complain, as well as like how to whistleblow. So I see like some international schools, they have a very clear and like proper report platform for the student. I think that's a good one lah. I would say some schools, they are doing good. Yeah.
Are there practices in other countries or regions that should be learned from?
Alright, from my understanding, I think some country like New Zealand or Canada, they actually have this program called like a restorative justice programs, which mainly would conducted by, I believe, the school counselor as well, where like if the school counselor or the teacher, they're aware that the school bullying is happening, they would have both the perpetrators as well as the victims to sit on a common ground, and they will give them a chance to like confront each other and have like a dialogue between them. So that I think it's good because first it let the perpetrators to understand how much harm they have caused, and at the same time it let the victims to process their own emotion and to convey their thoughts as well as the emotion, the feelings to the perpetrators as well. Yeah, I think in terms of the international policy, I think this one is like a good one lah. Like a direct confrontation, it will always be better than sweeping things under the rug.
Alright, what do you think are the responsibilities and roles of universities in prevention and intervention?
Alright, since we are talking about like university, like just like what I mentioned just now, like some university, they don't have like a very proper like or like a very clear report portal for the student. So I would say that the first one is a safe reporting environment, where like if I would like to report a bully, I would like to report that I'm experienced bullied by someone, and if I report it, no one's going to know my name. Like things would be kept anonymous so that I know that it's safe. Like even if I report, no one is going to know who is the person who report it. So with that, I feel safe to report things that's going on. And the second is of course the clear policies and the clear protocols. Like things need to be transparent to let other person to know that what would be the consequences of the perpetrators and what is the procedures in reporting as well as like investigating the bullying incident. So the third one would be awareness as well as the psycho-education. I'm not sure whether Malaysia University is doing this, but I believe that having like ongoing psycho-education campaigns or even like a seminar or talk about bullying, it would be very helpful. At least we can normalize, not like normalize that, but at least we can increase the awareness of students towards the current ongoing bullying trend in Malaysia. And I would say the third one is like a collaborative action between like the student council, like the club and society, the residential staff, as well as the mental health professional in this kind of event, because it's a multidisciplinary team and it's going to involve a lot of other departments, especially when it comes to investigation. So I would say that a collaborative action from different sides, different parties would be very important. But before that, for sure, we'll have to raise awareness first so that everyone know their effort, it means something to change the current situation as well as helping individuals in coping with the bullying.
Okay, your answer is very perfect. So that's the end of our interview today. Bye.